This is the narrated PowerPoint on interviewing for a job. So for clothes, generally, this is really true for both men and women. You should dress in the most conservative style that, or what you perceive as being conservative in the workplace. For men, generally these types of formal suits are a little on the baggy side, but I've seen them where they were real baggy, and that would not be a good idea. On the other hand, I've seen them where they're real tight, and that's not a good idea either. So just kind of in between there in terms of the bagginess. Shoes should be black and polished. Be sure your socks are long enough that they match in terms of not only each other, but also that they match the suit. And then women, who I don't think would have as much trouble with this, but the same thing, a dark conservative suit, as whether or not you wear a skirt or you wear pants. Uh, think about how other women in that workplace will be dressed. Skirts you don't want to be much above the knee. You wouldn't want to wear like a mini skirt to a job interview. And of course, not too much with makeup. And these are probably things that you really know. With the purse, you want to keep it, again, simple and conservative. It's not that I myself am conservative, but you don't want to have anything that's going to draw attention to yourself in a negative way. You don't want something that you're going to be tripping over or what have you, literally or figuratively. No one's going to hire you because they think you're cute or sexy. They're looking for another professionals. And so the same thing applies to haircuts and jewelry. The less the better for both men and women. Now, on the issue of a laptop, I think a lot of times students think that it will make them seem more professional to bring a laptop along. It's just something else really to get in the way. Don't bring one unless you have to bring one for a presentation that you're doing. And the same thing applies to a briefcase. A lot of times students think, well, professionals carry briefcases, so I'll take one in my job interview. Or if you're not used to walking with one, you may find it a little more cumbersome than you think. And again, it's not a good idea. Something else that you can drop or leave behind or what have you. Good thing to take with you is something to a ledger and something to write with, a nice pen, of some sort, a new one, certainly not an old plastic one that's been chewed or anything like that. In terms of your posture, for both men and women, good posture is hands on your knees. And with men, you don't want to sit with your legs spread too wide apart, or with your ankle on your knee so that your foot starts doing this thing because you're nervous. And that is part of what we're talking about here is nervousness. It is normal. One thing you might be aware of is you don't want to start talking too fast. If you start talking too fast, you start making mistakes. Can't wait to see what the closed captioning is going to look like for that. If you make any type of error, it's a good thing to acknowledge it. They aren't interested in hiring necessarily perfect people, but it is reassuring to hire someone who admits it when they make a mistake and recognizes it. And of course, they expect you to be nervous. That's okay. The careers office will set up a mock interview. You can give them your resume. You can come in and you have a conversation with somebody. And it can be good for looking for any types of problems that you have with speech or with your posture or what have you that can help you improve your chances of getting a job, or not getting just a job, but the one that you want. Do some research. Once you have an interview, be sure to check the library. Go to the reference desk and talk to the reference librarians. Tell them you need information about this company, and they'll be glad to help you find out what may be being published about them locally and nationally. Check the company's website as well to give you a better idea of the specifics, what their concerns are, and so forth, and where they may be going in the immediate future. and talk to people who may know something about the company, other people that you may have known who have worked there. During the interview itself, it should be a conversation as much as possible. A lot of times, though, the interviewer will start out doing a lot of talking. And if you hear them say something like this, but I'm doing all the talking, and that's fine. They should tell you about the job. They should tell you about the company. But that's when you need to be ready to jump in with some pre-prepared questions that you have. And a lot of times the way that you can generate those questions is by doing research and taking advantage of the resources that you have available to you, and that you're not going to have a reference librarian available to you in the future, but you have one right now. So use your reference librarian. But anyway, this is where you start asking your questions. Um, if you get to the end and they say, what other questions do you have? And if you've depleted your questions, just say, no, I think that's it. Don't ever say, gee, I know I'll have a million questions as soon as I get out of here. That makes you sound bad. It makes you sound what? Unprepared. It also makes you sound like you don't think well on your feet. So, and you don't want to give anybody that impression. In terms of your questions, the thing to remember is that the bigger the company is, the more people you will talk to. So it's okay to ask the same questions to different people. It can actually be informative. If you ask them about, well, where do you think the company is going, and one or more people have negative answers to the question, then you might want to reconsider actually taking, a job with this company. So, but generally, these types of interviews are going to be fairly long, 3 or 4 hours. They might involve a meal. Um, and you may talk to somebody like the head of the division that your job will be under, and also to the person who will be your manager. And so those two could easily be an hour each. Generally, nobody's going to talk to you. It'd be unusual if somebody talked to you for more than an hour. Most people will talk to you for less than that, maybe 20 minutes or 30, something like that. So, questions you don't want to ask, especially on an initial interview, are about things like this. Of course, especially the last one you're going to want to know before you sign a contract to go to work with them, but not on an initial interview. You want to actually, especially with the last two, you want to wait for them to start talking to you about benefits and salary, because when they start doing that, that means they're interested in you. If they don't talk to you about that, don't worry. They probably have more than one person that they are interviewing, but it doesn't mean that you're out of the running, I'm sure, by any means. And of course, eventually you are going to ask about salary. They're actually going to tell you. So, vacation, you can count on just a few days a year and a week, maybe 2 weeks, depending upon the company policy after you've been there for a year. But it's going to be things like Christmas Day, not the week before and the week after. Thanksgiving Day, not the whole week. You know. You want to be sensitive to body language. Look out for cues like, well, I've enjoyed talking with you today. That means they're winding it up. If anybody stands up on you, then you need to leave as quickly and gracefully as possible. It probably means that you missed a cue. It's not really a bad thing, but some people may do that kind of reflexively to when they're concluding an interview. But sometimes people will do that when you may have missed a cue. But anyway, the thing to do then is to get out as quickly but gracefully, of course, as possible. Other types of interviews. The group interview, you want to treat everyone equally. If the company you're interviewing with has a factory and one of the people in the group interview looks like he or she came off of the factory floor, you still want to give this person respect, because it could be they have an equal vote in whether or not you're hired, or at least have some voice in whether or not you're hired. So you do want to treat them with respect and certainly not brush off their questions. Telephone interviews, we're moving more towards using Zoom calls, but not everybody may be doing that yet. And if you have a telephone interview, one thing that's a little bit unnerving about telephone interviews without a video uh, feature is with pauses. And like you ask a question, or excuse me, you answer a question, and then there's a pause, and you may think, well, did I give the wrong answer? No, the problem is that they can't see you, so they don't have the other types of cues that they would be looking for if they could see you to let them know that you've completed the question. So, uh, in terms of the pause, just don't let it unnerve you. Don't let it make you nervous or anything like that. Follow-up letter is a really good idea. Most people don't do this. So there's a job you really want. Do a follow-up letter. Thank them for the interview. Repeat you're the best candidate for the position. And this is an opportunity to add to your application. Everybody's going to think of things that they should have said or they should have added. Oh, that project that you worked on in class or something that you did on another job. Um, this is a good opportunity for you to add this information to your application. So another good reason for writing the follow-up. And tell them you look forward to hearing from them soon. This can be a way to spur action. Questions. Well, this concludes the series of narrated PowerPoints on the job hunt.